Okay, we are live, but we shall let it breathe, as is the tradition here at Mile High Huddle. While we bring in Facebook, and then we'll get things fired up because lots to talk about today. We knew there would be when we signed off last night. We had a feeling there'd be plenty to get to today, and sure enough. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Huddle Up Podcast, presented, as always, by Mile High Huddle, and I am your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. Rocking a brand new, spiffy, if I must say, Mile High Huddle hat, Zack Kelberman. Zack, what's good, bro? You like that hat? You're getting to sample that hat for the first time yourself today.
Listen, not getting paid to say this. There's no gun to my head. This hat is super comfortable. It's stylish. It's sleek. I love the mesh material. Lets my hair breathe, just like we do on the podcast, Chad. So we have all the merchandise, as you guys know. New store, new merch, huddleuppod.com. I'm rocking mine. Go get yours.
Question. Does it make a difference, or should it matter that when Evero, that's the easiest way to remember, by the way. It's Evero. It's Ejiro. Now I'm confusing myself.
Evero.
Anyway,
sure.
Evero sends a blitz package at Russell Wilson today at OTAs. Wilson checks it at the line, and instead of going through his progression, this is unbeknownst to Nathaniel Hackett, checks it at the line, goes deep, 80-yard touchdown to Tim Patrick, and Hackett is just like romping up and down the field, just like in-your-face defense, stoked for Tim Patrick, stoked for Russ. And then he gets the question at the podium after practice, is that the wisest thing to do as the head coach of the team? How much should that be a consideration, Zack, considering, and I'll just throw one last devil's advocate component into this, the fact that was kind of one of the critiques of Vic Fangio is he needed to be more than just the head coach of the defense.
Well, let's see here. You have an offensive-minded coach who's calling the plays, working with this new franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson. There's an 80-yard touchdown bomb taking place. I don't care if we're talking about practice. Call me AI. It's a cause for celebration. And I don't know who asked that question, but I'm sure that same person asked Fangio about maybe loosening up his practice techniques or critiqued Fangio for being so curmudgeony, as you just hit on there. It's a no-win situation. There's always going to be an unhappy camper reporting on one side or the other. I, for one, love the energy Hackett's bringing to the building. I love the fact that even though Jeudy went down today with a slight injury, which we'll discuss in further detail going forward, Nathaniel Hackett was celebrating the plays that were being made on the field despite losing a receiver. The next man up is TP. TP hauls in a big touchdown grab. There was also the Alberto touchdown grab from Russell Wilson. I think it was 50 yards. And it was, the last couple days, Scott and I talked about this last Thursday. Last week and the start to this week, over the weekend, the defense has owned the offense in recent practices. Today, it seemed like the offense finally got the defense back. And we talked about Hackett chirping with Kareem Jackson. He's a competitor. Just because he's the coach doesn't make him not a competitor, and he can't contain those competitive juices. I love it. Capital L, love it.
I think so long as, and this is something Hackett himself said, so long as when he celebrates an offensive success, he also celebrates and congratulates defensive successes. It's a non-issue. The guy, and I don't know who asked the question, but that's the guy that was trying to ruin the Christmas party, bringing up politics at the dinner table or something, right? It's like, dude, really? Come on now. I'm just stoked to see things coming together offensively for this team under new quarterback and leader Russell Wilson. Michael Ronquillo jumping in early before this stream even went live with a very supportive, very generous super chat. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Michael.
You are the man, and you know this. In Tucson, Arizona, he says, good evening to Chad and Zack on the Mile High Huddle. Let's ride and go Broncos. Yes, indeed, my friend. Let's ride. Sam Bam jumping in early as well. Really appreciate that, my friend. Still love your profile pic. One of my favorites. I mean, hey, so it's great. Great product placement. I don't know. Now I'm talking like a capitalist over here, Zack. But either way, Sam Bam.
What's wrong with that?
You're a prince, dude. You're a prince. He says, evening, Chad and Zack. Hope all is well. It is. Glad the Broncos ownership situation is now over, or so it seems, and the Broncos can move on from this. 14 more weeks until the opener. RIP to Mr. Pat Bowlen and go Broncos. So, guys, a little bit of kind of a mystifying situation. On one hand, we get news from Forbes, breaking news this morning, that the final bid, or the highest bid in what is the last auction, turns out to have come from Rob Walton, the Walmart heir, which means, Zach, that's your new owner. No sooner does that break across the news feed, the wire, as it were, then you get all the Broncos insiders, including Adam Schefter, who, despite being a national perspective insider guy for ESPN, is still very well connected to Denver, because that's where he got his start, at the Denver Post. He was the Mike Kliss before Mike Kliss. Poo-pooing it, Zach, basically saying that no. That's not what's happening here. The Broncos, let me find the rebuttal here. I'll find it. Give me a second. Well, I don't know where it is. You tell the story. You were involved in this. What the heck is going on with Broncos ownership?
Well, the bids, this was published before the deadlines for all the bids was scheduled to take place, which was 3:00 Mountain Time today. So earlier this morning, Forbes, I guess, broke the news, even though it's not news to those of us who's covered it, that Rob Walton will win the bid for Broncos ownership at about $4.5 billion. Several sports bankers told Forbes. Right after this came out, a gaggle of reporters, national and local, including Adam Schefter, Andrew Mason, came out and threw cold water on it. Maybe the Broncos didn't want that getting out there, and they started backtracking and having their mouthpieces backtracking. But that's the scuttlebutt. It's that for 4.5 or so, it's going to be Rob Walton's bid as the highest bidder, and the Broncos, as we know, have a responsibility to sell to the highest bidder. And has this been a change of course from the last couple months? No. When one guy is worth $70 billion, and what is Todd Bowley worth, or Harris? 5 or 6? I mean, they can't touch what the wealth that Rob Walton has. So it was always his to lose. And if he's hung around this long in the process at about $4.5 billion, even if it were to go to 5, why wouldn't he throw another, couple pennies in there for him and make sure he gets the team? So yeah, Adam Schefter's walking it back. There's going to be a process. No announcement, more than likely until training camp, because they have to get owner's approval. There's still a lot of legalese to work through. I still think, and you and I have said for weeks now, it's going to be Rob Walton more than likely.
Oh, NFL owners are going to rubber stamp this
for sure
before the ink can even possibly be dry. Why? Because we're talking about the 19th richest man in the world. And to the billionaires club that is the NFL ownership, that can be very helpful to the interests, the greater interests of the league, right? Having a owner that is that influential, that wealthy. Possibilities are endless. But when you think about this, Zach, what did Pat Bowlen buy this for back in '84? It was something like $78 million. That's a chunk of change. That's a lot of lettuce. I don't want to, turn my nose up at $78 million. But to think that, 30 some odd years later, well, not quite, almost 30, or pardon me, almost 40. Man, I'm not mathing well tonight. It's going to go for $4.5 billion. I mean, how many X in magnitude? How many multipliers is that? I'd say, hey, you know what, Pat Bowlen, obviously there's a reason why the Broncos are selling for that figure. And it's not just because inflation. It's not just because the NFL itself became a $13, $14, $15 billion a year nut. But Pat Bowlen and what he did not only for his team, taking the Denver Broncos from kind of a, I don't want to say like a bottom of the barrel team, because, the Broncos had been to a Super Bowl, lost to the Cowboys in '78, obviously. But from his point forward, this team went to 7 Super Bowls. I count 15 because the moves that he put in place, hiring Elway, signing off on the Peyton Manning deal, that's what brought home the bacon in Super Bowl 50. Ultimately, he was around when the Von Miller pick was made, all those things. So he contributed largely to the success of the team, obviously, in a big bad way, which is one of the reasons they became such a treasured property and why it's going to go for $4.5 billion, Zach. But last thing here, he also did a lot to advance the interest of the league itself, from the TV deals to the different influences he had on the NFL, which is why those, how many are there now? 7 after the one kind of the kids, that was revealed last summer, if I'm not mistaken. That we know of. Right. Yeah. Reminds me of when I'm with my dad and we meet someone new. How many kids you got, Mark? Oh, 3 that I know of. It's a funny joke, right? In this case, not so much a joke.
part of the reason why I hate talking about ownership stuff, because we get into math, and when that happens, my eyes roll back in my head. So
yeah.
zeros and multipliers and this and that. All I know, it's a lot of money. And the last sale, which broke the record in the NFL, what Tepper bought the Panthers for, it will be exactly half of what the Broncos would go for, $4.5 billion at the minimum. It could push $5 billion. I even heard estimates over $5 billion. So despite the last couple seasons, half century, the Broncos are a very, very lucrative and valued franchise. And I think Rob Walton's getting a good one if he is indeed the guy. We just have to see what his motive is going to be for purchasing the Broncos. And one thing to kind of talk about him for a second is that I got a lot of pushback on Twitter for saying it's terrific news for Russell Wilson if Rob Walton buys the Broncos because his contract situation. But everyone's saying they're going to run the Broncos, Walton will anyway, like he ran Walmart, being cheap. That's how he amassed his wealth. There is a little bit of truth to that, but you don't buy a franchise and you don't spend $4.5 billion and then be called cheap. So there's no way, there's no scenario where Walton owning the Broncos over someone like Magic Johnson or Todd Bowley is worse. It's only can help the Broncos having that much liquid cash available. It can only help Russell Wilson having an owner with that deep of pockets. And that's why I'm all for it. I'm not pushing back against it. I'm embracing it.
Just because Walmart built its brand, here I am about to go to bat for Walmart, but it's only in the sense of comparing it to, the Broncos are going to become this cheapskate team under the ownership of Rob Walton. But they became the juggernaut that they did, Walmart, because they worked very, very hard over many, many years, decades, in fact, to squeeze suppliers to a point where they could make it cheaper for you. Now, you can talk about the trickle-down effect that has when everybody stops buying from the mom and pop store to go save a few nickels on, a gallon of milk at Walmart that just got built, yesterday in your town, wherever you might be. But still, you need that forward-thinking self-interest. And that's, I think, what you get from a guy like Walton. He comes in and he's going to move, he's going to shake, he's going to do what is in the best interest of his team. And if that means vanquishing opponents or rivals or whatever it might be to be front of the line, that's what he's going to do. The Duchess jumping in. What's going on? It's so great to see you, Michaela. I don't know if you notice. I mean, look here on the screen. We've got a new number 1 on Super Chat this month of June. Michaela edging out the DWI guys at number 2. Michael Ronquillo at 3. D. Porter, Dale Fleming, Dave from Georgia, all tied there at 4. So there's your update on Super Chat. And Michaela, we love you. We appreciate you so much. She says, Zach, I heard you got a shout out on, what'd she say? A shout out on the Pat McAfee show. Cool. Kind of a shout out. Tell them what happened for people scratching their heads.
Yeah, that story that we picked up on from what Mike Kliss reported, then walked back publicly and now infamously, I guess. The Pat McAfee show covered it today, and Drew Hollenbeck, a longtime supporter, viewer of the podcast, brought it to my attention on Twitter. So shout out, Drew. Cool moment. I appreciate all the boys there. They're good people, and for the brand, for MHH, Chad. I'm excited about it.
Hashtag for the brand. Yeah, here's the article in question. Russell Wilson report. Russell Wilson has a 5-year, $250 million ask on a new deal from the Broncos, right? And this comes from Mike Kliss. It's on YouTube. I'm not going to click on it, but what was the sit down? What was he doing? Kliss.
He was reporting on the Broncos ownership situation.
So it was on 9 News YouTube, right?
Yes, if it's right on that link, it's right on video.
Okay, so it was literally from 9 News, their own media. So it's not like he was saying this in passing and someone caught a hot mic or something. He says the first order of business for the new owner, aka Rob Walton, will be to sign Russell Wilson to a contract extension. 5 years and $250 million will be his asking price. And then you put in parentheses, just being a good dude, Kliss later reclassified these numbers as his presumption and affirmed that no one has asked for anything at this time because the Broncos and the Russell Wilson camp, they want to maintain the posture that they have not yet entered into any contract talks whatsoever. Now, how much you want to believe that, I leave up to you, the listener, the viewer here tonight. But $50 million, that's the starting point from what we're hearing from the insider at Broncos HQ, Mike Kliss, Zach. So we're talking $250 million, 5 years, $50 million a year. I mean, you're now up into the Mahomes stratosphere.
I mean, I don't think they have to even formally begin negotiations to deduce that he wants 50 a year. That was the scuttlebutt. That was the rumor in Seattle the last couple years, the last year especially. That's what accelerated his trade to Denver was his asking price. And as I've said before, and I'll say again, that is the new going rate thanks to players like Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson for starting elite franchise caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. And if Deshaun Watson gets, what was it, 46 and change per year, fully guaranteed, all of that, 270 million, facing now 24 allegations of sexual misconduct. If that guy gets that money, why is anyone surprised that Russell Wilson, a 9-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, clean as a whistle off the field, why would anyone be surprised that he would get $50 million? That is the new barometer. That's what Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, those types, that's the stratosphere they open for other players. And it keeps going up and up and up. And those who didn't catch me saying it last night, I'll say it one more time. In a couple seasons from now, $50 million annually for a quarterback will seem like peanuts. Trust me on that. Wait on it.
Blows my mind. GLP in the house. Gary Leach Palmer. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you very much for the support and being in the room every single night. It all adds up and helps keep the lights on. And these new backgrounds we're rolling, you need more lights. So when we really need your help keeping the lights on in more ways than one. We really appreciate you, Gary. Kendrick Ware. Where is Kendrick? He's right here. What's going on, big dog? He says, what's up, my guys? What's your take on Baron Browning attending Von Miller's pass rushing camp? Hopefully it helps his development. Seems as if he will truly be an outside linebacker rather than an inside, in my opinion. But hey, hashtag MHH for life. Appreciate that, my friend. Yes, indeed. Bradley Chubb was unable to attend and did reveal today in his post-practice presser. But hey, I didn't go, but guess what? Baron Browning went. And he actually went on to gush quite a bit about Baron. Your thoughts, Zach, how much you read into that, how much it helps Baron? I'll pull up the quote on what Chubb said about Baron in terms of how he's acclimating to life as a rush linebacker. But your thoughts?
Well, I kind of wish offhand that the guy being compared to Von Miller, Nick Benito, would have been there, but I understand why he wasn't, considering he had OTAs to go to today. I do like, though, on a positive note, that Baron Browning has embraced his transition to outside linebacker, because based on his press conference last week and based on his answers, he didn't seem very sure about the conversion. It seemed like the Broncos were forcing him and he's going along and being a good soldier. And that might be the extension of this and going to Von Miller's camp, but it can't hurt him as an edge rusher. It can't do anything but benefit him if he's indeed moving out to outside linebacker, learning from one of the best to ever do it, a Broncos legend. I like the incestual relationship that Von Miller is keeping with the Broncos, keeping it in the Broncos family. And I give Baron Browning kudos for making that trek. I think it was in, I don't know, he used to have it in random places, Von Miller, but I appreciate Baron Browning going out there, attending, and hopefully becoming a better player because of it.
Here's what Chubb said about Baron Browning, his progress. He says, quote, "It's crazy when it comes to Baron. The natural skills he has for the position, it's amazing. You'll see him go out there and he just throws his shoulder down. To him, feels like he's just doing that. But on film, it looks like the craziest thing ever. We're trying to keep coaching him up. He's come over to the house and asked me what I see from his play. I'm trying to be for him like Vaughn and those guys were for me when I first came in and first moved to the position. It's been great to see the natural things he has already. Once he starts adding in those little small details, it's going to be over with." So that's some relatively high praise, because for what it's worth, I take that a little bit more seriously than, say, Zach, the average, off-season comment from a veteran complimenting a young guy, only because Bradley Chubb, first of all, that's competition to him now, right? That's competition. Right. Second of all, though, Bradley Chubb has never been a gusher. Bradley Chubb, his best friend could be on that team. And if he gets asked about it at the podium, it's going to be like, yeah, cool. Next question. Like you don't ever get any kind of real emotional investment when it comes to teammates and things like that, which kind of makes it ironic that when he did his post presser following his first Pro Bowl nod, he was just Niagara Falls, right? That particular night. But I digress. So I take this a little bit more seriously, Zach, that there might be some there, and it actually gives me some hope, because I have had, as you guys know, some real misgivings about the wisdom of trying to move a young guy like Baron Browning, who, imperfect as he was as a rookie, shined often at inside linebacker, which is the depth at inside linebacker, Zach, a weakness for this team, and moving him to outside linebacker where you got more depth. It's more of a strength. It might not be considered straight up a strength, all things being equal, but relative to inside linebacker, the depth is definitely more extensive on that side. I'm stoked. Now I feel like there's some real potential light at the end of the tunnel at edge for Baron Browning.
Yeah, it's competition, but it's also a teammate. And Bradley Chubb's being a good teammate. And Chubb knows that if both stay healthy, Chubb's the starter and Baron Browning is a backup. And that's where I wonder, is the conversion worth it? Even if he succeeds, is he going to start? No, it's going to be Gregory and Bradley Chubb. So he would have started an inside linebacker, though, Browning would. And God help the Broncos if Singleton or Josie Jewell or Jonas Griffith goes down, then what do? Move Baron back to ILB, have him play two positions. They're taking a gamble by moving him here after year one. There's no two ways about that. You can argue whether they're right or whether it will work out. Time will tell about the experiment. But I think they're taking a big risk, taking a player that shined at one spot that you can argue is his natural spot and putting him at an unnatural spot, a la DeMarcus Walker.
It is definitely a risk. And I think that's probably one of the most salient points that has been made on the whole switch, which is, hey, Baron Browning's a really good athlete, and he's a really good linebacker, especially for his relative age. You want him warming the bench, or do you want him on the field impacting the game? Because at edge, his path to the field is much more circuitous, right, Zach? And it's going to take more time and more forces, per se, outside Baron's control to see the field. I mean, let's face it, you're paying Bradley Chubb fifth-year option money. You're paying big dollar bills to Randy Gregory. You want them on the field, and that comes at the expense of younger guys who are a little less proven, despite whatever their upside might be, like Baron Browning, like Nick Bonito. I mean, those guys will get their reps. Don't get me wrong. They're going to be rotated in, and they're going to spell the top two guys, but it's definitely an issue worth pondering.
I got to get that one in there. You know that, right? Circuitous. I got to work that in. I got incestual down, as a couple comments have noted. I will get circuitous in the podcast tonight. Rest assured.
Phoenix says, incestual in a positive way. Now, I don't mean to pick nits here, but is it incestual or is it incestuous? Because I would have said it's incestuous.
But
not
you know what? Conversation I thought we'd be having tonight.
I know. Let's get weird, dude. Should we just let's get weird?
Too late.
Too
broke
late.
The seal.
David Wilder, what's going on, big dog? Great to see you. How have you been? We have missed you. Good evening, Chad, Zach, Scott, and Broncos country, says David. I'm late to the news. Is the Walton ownership news concrete and final? I'm sorry I haven't been here lately. I really like the new backgrounds. Hashtag Let's Ride MHH for life. Really cool. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Lots of new things happening at MHH this summer as we gear up for what is going to be the best year for Broncos fans and for MHH since Broncos brought home the bacon, Super Bowl 50. Is it concrete? No. In terms of like officially announced by the Broncos or confirmed, no. Common sense. I mean, first of all, it was let's not pretend like it was just some digital rag out there reporting this, Zach. This was Forbes magazine. Okay, so Forbes, when it comes to things financial, typically if they go to report on something, it's because they've got some solid provenance, some solid sources, and they're not going to run that if it isn't solid. So it's just inconvenient in terms of the timing for the Broncos because they want to keep it in their funnel that they can control. And they're not to that point yet where they want to drop the news out of the funnel for everyone to see. Forbes beat them to the punch, so to speak. So on one hand, it's not official. On the other, no one in the running has this financial wherewithal as Rob Walton. So if he wants the Broncos, he's getting the Broncos. And if he got this far, Zach, holy smokes. Before we grab Poppy here, I just got stunned. If Rob Walton got this far in the bidding process, went to this length, opened up his financials and allowed NFL security to get in and basically researches every skeleton he might have in the closet all the way back to elementary school, he probably is in it for the long haul, meaning that I'm here to put in the bid that's going to bring home the team. $4.5 billion. Oh, shucks. I guess I'll flip over a few couch cushions, see if I can find the cheddar.
Yeah, I want to give Pobby her deserved due here, but you said it's not concrete yet, but I can say the concrete is being poured. The foundation is already there for Rob Walden to own the team. It hasn't hardened just yet. Well, we're getting really weird tonight, Chad, but it will be, and I think it's going to be his team. It's a matter of time. He has the money. He has the interest. Put it all together. What do you spell? Great value field a mile high.
Pobby, she is known in these parts as the princess of MHH. We've got the queen, Christy. We've got the duchess, Michaela. We got the princess. Pobby been with us a long, long time. And even though we don't get to see her in the chats as often as we would maybe like to, or in days of yore, the fact that when she shows up, she throws down like this, it's just very humbling. We love you. We appreciate you. That is just so generous. Seriously. It really goes a long way. Helps myself, helps Zach, helps Scott, helps all of MHH. So love you, appreciate you, and we hope you're doing well. We're doing really, really well. It's really good to see you.
We're doing a lot better because of you, Pobby. Thank you for brightening our day with a plum. And I hope you see the comments from your generosity and know that inside, that's what Chad and I feel. The exuberance and the shock of it. Thank you so much. It's good to see you and hope you're doing really, really well. Thank you.
Yep. We are connected on Facebook and Twitter, of course. I think I kind of am more able to keep tabs on and kind of keep in touch with people on Facebook for whatever reason, just because of the way the algorithm works, than on Twitter or any other social media. But Pobby, it seems like things are good for you right now. It's so great to have you. Love you. Speaking of love, we got Kenny Booker in the hizzy. What's going on, KB? How are you, dude? How are things? Everything going good? Hope so, big dog. He wants to know if you could go to any Denver game, home or away this year, which would you pick? I'm trying for London, but KC or Vegas next in line. Zach?
Well, now I have to pull up the schedule and remember which of the away games. Vegas is always, one of the easy ones to pick. Kansas City would be great, that environment. The draft's going to be there next year too, so that's interesting. But London, man, how do you compete with London? Scott and I are trying to organize some sort of not carpool, but plane pool trip to London to go see the Broncos and maybe catch a soccer match. Not a game, said it correctly. So, yeah, I think London's the easy pick here. But any game this year with Russell Wilson, any away game, especially later in the year, that one too, week 1 even, at Seattle, that's going to be a doozy. What else we got, though?
I'm not as cool as it would be to catch a game across the pond. Well, I'll scroll through this, but listen, I would almost rather take a bullet than be in an airplane that long. I hate flying. I'll do it when I must. It's not. I'm not quite on a John Madden level of fear of flying, but the notion of being in an airplane that long, I mean, it would take some serious anesthesia, Zach, to get me to even show up and report for duty. But nevertheless, hey, Vegas, that's a hop, skip, and a jump. Chargers, meh. Not a big fan of being in LA. Jacksonville, nah. Tennessee, nah.
Nashville's amazing, though. That would be a heck of a road trip.
Carolina, nah.
No.
Baltimore, nah. Kansas City, LA. So, yeah, I think for me, it would be Arrowhead, especially with a good Broncos team. And by the time you get to Arrowhead, by the way, Zach, you've already hosted the Chiefs at home, right? Right. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, Broncos week 14, Chiefs, and then Chiefs again week 17. So by the time you get to Arrowhead week 17, your Denver Broncos have snapped the ignominious 13-game losing streak, and so you can show up, do one of these, even though, small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. They could be like, okay, what are you tripping for? 13 in a row. Get out of here. But still, I would probably say KC or Vegas. I'm not down for that trip.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull up the comment, but Colin Wood, you're stupid, man. I mean that in the most loving way. You're stupid, though, for that.
Stupid Colin. Sam Bam, again, love you, big dog. What is the cornerback depth looking like after Patrick Surtain? Also, do you think Evero, defensive coordinator, will play more of a zone or a man-to-man scheme for the corners? Go Broncos. I'll reverse it. I think that it's going to be more zone-based. They'll run a little man. But if they're going to do the Fangio thing, then it's going to be that more zone-oriented match quarters thing. But the depth after PS2, in terms of proven depth, there's not a lot. You know, you look at the three starters, PS2, K'Wan Williams at the nickel, and then Ron Darby at the other outside. And then behind him, Michael Ojemudia, Damari Mathis, Asang Bassi. Who's the kid that you mentioned, the undrafted kid? I always forget his name. Thank you. There are a few young dogs that could end up becoming, diamonds in the rough. But if you're looking for like a proven guy that you can hang your hat on, no. If one of those guys goes down, your next most experienced dude is Michael O. So if that's what happens, if they have to turn to depth, and considering the track record of Ronald Darby in particular, they're probably gonna have to turn to some guys. You just hope that they've been in the league long enough, Zach. They've marinated. The timer has gone off. They're ready for the grill, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, Michael Lowe, who got toasted on that Tim Patrick post for that long touchdown today, that same Michael Lowe. It's scary. If, God forbid, PS2 should suffer an injury, or even Darby for that matter, you're talking about Michael Lowe starting, and you're talking about K'Wan Williams, who had an injury jacket in San Francisco, same thing as Bryce Callahan. So they got some problems, and that's why potential problems, and that's why I'm campaigning, or I'm thinking that Jaquan McMillian, undrafted cornerback from ECU, could make a push for the final roster. They have Faion Hicks, who they drafted. There's some young guys there, but like Chad said, he hit on the word proven. That's where the lack comes in. Once you fall beyond Michael O and Asang Bassi, who aren't world beaters themselves, it gets pretty tenuous.
Phil McLaughlin, what's going on, bro? It's great to see you. Appreciate you on Facebook supporting the cause. He says, great show, Chad, Zach, and Scott. I feel by the time Russ gets his contract, he may be the highest paid quarterback after getting us a Super Bowl win this season. Just being optimistic. Hashtag let's ride. Hashtag MHH for life. And there's nothing wrong with that, my friend. You gotta believe it can happen, and that it's gonna happen before it will. Faith always precedes the miracle.
I just, what I don't understand is, any Broncos fan, were y'all thinking you were going to get Russell Wilson and not have to give him a new contract? It was always going to be part of the deal. And the second part of that hypothetical question is, did you think that contract was going to be cheap? Did you think it was going to be $20 million a year, or he was going to take some team-friendly deal or take less money in his first year with the Broncos? No, it was always going to be expensive. That is the cost of a franchise quarterback. We all wanted it. We finally got it now. We have to pay up for him. Not we, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate I'm glad to hear you guys like the hats, by the way. Lots of new swag on the merch store, huddleuppod.com. Many of you have been patronizing the new store, and we appreciate it. But I mean, there's lots of cool stuff, guys, and designs coming. David, I promise I'm going to grab you, but real quick, since I've got this up, and then we'll segue right back to you. I mean, look, this is all kinds of dope stuff, from the shirts designs to, like, here's a different looking MHH trucker hat. Here's a football priest hat that's got our mugs on it. Here's the hat that we're wearing tonight. Similar anyway. All kinds of stuff. That's page one. You just keep going. All kinds of cool stuff. I mean, you've even got Legends of Mile High. Shout out Tom Hall. You got merch for Legends of Mile High. You got the Christie designed Mile High Huddle stuff, from t-shirts to hats. You got a little something for everybody, including mugs, including freaking phone cases. We're really happy with our new provider, and YouTube was really helpful in connecting us with that provider. So anyway, partake, enjoy. We appreciate it. David, I would hope that Rob Walton considers a new dome stadium if he does become the owner. There are exciting days ahead. I dream of Denver getting the Super Bowl in the future. So that would really be the only benefit, in my opinion, to building an indoor stadium in Denver, Zach, is trying to woo the NFL and win a bid to host the Super Bowl. But still, most people, in terms of the show out and the people that descend on whatever that Super Bowl city is each and every year, mitigated how much people want to go when they got to wear a coat everywhere and it's freezing and all that. And in Denver, in first week or 2 weeks in February, it's cold here in the Rocky Mountains, Zach. So I don't know. What do you lose though when you get a dome? The Broncos have the mile high air, right? The thin air that can be, I think, too much is made of it in terms of the advantage it really gives the Denver Broncos, but still, it's a modest advantage. The elements, especially when you get quarterbacks that play in good weather or domes, like Peyton Manning, most of his career, you put him in cold weather situations. I mean, look at Super Bowl 48, the only time the NFL decided, hey, let's put the Super Bowl in a cold weather city, and it happens to be a Super Bowl that Peyton Manning ends up getting into. I mean, the football fates on that. It just boggles your mind. What do you lose? What do you gain? I think a stadium upgrade would be good eventually, sometime in the next 10 years. I don't think it's pressing need, though. Although, last thing, Zach, we did hear word, I'm trying to remember the source now because it's been about a month or so, that's something Rob Walton would be interested in doing, building a new stadium and getting that process rolling if he wins ownership.
Yeah, I heard it'd be closer to DIA. That's the proposal on the new stadium. But I'm not going to build a new home field just to attract a Super Bowl. It's not worth it to me. You can have your Super Bowl. I want my home field advantage. I want the Broncos to have the elements and to be outdoors and to have a quarterback that can play in all weather conditions. That was the knock on Peyton when he played with the Colts, him playing in a dome. But Peyton's Peyton. There's always the knock on indoor quarterbacks like Matt Ryan. How is he going to fare? He went from one dome to another, but I want that advantage. And we talked about it months ago, and we said it'd be like putting a dome where the Bills play in Orchard Park. It's taken away their whole competitive advantage, and there is that in Denver. I'm against it. He wants to build a new stadium, fine, but make it a real stadium, not a dome stadium.
Ed Keating, and by the way, shout out Juero Vidal. Appreciate you, bro. Edward Keating, everyone knows Ed, been on the show multiple times. He's a moderator on the Facebook group. Good to see you, bro. He says, what's up, guys? Haven't been on in a while. I'm feeling a lot better now. Oh, dang, dude. Did you maybe get the coof? Is that what happened? He says, I believe Walton will be the next owner. I also believe Peyton Manning will be part of this. Sucks about Jerry Jeudy. Thanks, guys. Denver Broncos for life. Yeah, let's get to that, Zach. What's the story on Jerry Jeudy's injury? Happened today, I guess, and they're taking some precautions. What do you know?
Well, there's two parts to it. There's what the reporters observed during practice today and what Nathaniel Hackett told the reporters after practice. What they observed was Jerry Jeudy walking off the field. He was, according to James Palmer of NFL Network, somewhat upset. He said his groin was bothering him, so it sounded like he tweaked it. He went back to the locker room, came back out to the field, dressed in warm-up, sweatpants, and watched practice that way, did not participate. After practice, Nathaniel Hackett said Jerry Jeudy has a little tweak. They shut him down, as you mentioned, out of precaution, and they're trying to get him ready. This is interesting. This leads me to believe it's not that serious, but I have a but for a little later. They're going to try to get him ready for mandatory minicamp, which runs the 13th through the 15th, 3-day final minicamp until training camp. They want Jeudy to participate. But groin injuries, Chad, are like hamstrings, especially for receivers. They are tough to manage if you let them linger. So I don't want the Broncos to push Jeudy if he did tweak his groin. Shut him down. You saw him practice enough. He has all of training camp or that time to get healthy, and then don't risk further injury. But that's the latest right now. Sounds like a slight minor groin tweak, nothing you trip over yet. But yet is the operative word. They have to manage him correctly.
Yeah. I think if you were in season, he might DNP limited on Friday and suit up and play type thing. It's unfortunate just because, he's kind of had a tumultuous last calendar year.
Snake bitten.
Yeah. I mean, look, what's ironic about it, not ironic. What's bittersweet about it is who was deemed the star of training camp last year? Jerry Jeudy. Like, he looked like he had really turned a corner, and I think he had, to be honest with you. And then game 2, was it game 2 where he got hurt? I think it was week 2. Actually, no, it was week 1. It was the season opener. He has what looked like a freak break, to his lower leg ankle. I mean, it looked like no way that dude's ankle ain't broke. I mean, it was grotesque. Turns out, no, just an extremely acute sprain, misses 8 weeks, comes back, and he's just out of the swing of things. Just wasn't able to regain that summertime form. Doesn't score a touchdown for sharing a brain. For in his second year as a pro, as a former top 15 pick. And then you go into the offseason. Hey, good news. You get Russell Wilson's your quarterback. No more Drew, no more Teddy. he's going, yeah, baby. And then the run-in with the popo and now this. So it's like for Jeudy, the football gods giveth and they taketh. And right now it feels like their taketh has been more so than their giveth.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough start to Jeudy's career, man, after being the 15th overall pick back in 2020. And what I didn't realize as I wrote the story on Jeudy today, you can read it at milehighhuddle.com, is that as a rookie, for all his warts and all his drops and all his issues and social media exploits, he led the Broncos in receiving. I mean, it says a lot about the Broncos receiving core, the Broncos offense, but
Sutton was hurt that year for what it's worth.
But still, I mean, if he was this bust people were making him out to be, he wouldn't have put up even those numbers in a Pat Shurmur offense with that instability at quarterback. So there's a lot to like about Jeudy, and we all want to see what that potential could be. We want to see it translate. And he has this golden opportunity, Chad, to break out with Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, this offense. And if he keeps on the straight and narrow, he will. But if he doesn't, as I wrote in my article, it's next man up. And that next man is making 80-yard touchdown catches in practice, named Tim Patrick.
That's right. By the way, Ed, sorry to hear about your car accident. Great to hear, though, that you're on the mend, back on your feet, so to speak. So thanks for keeping us updated on that too, buddy. Fonzie, hey, what's good, bro? The Fonz in the house. Appreciate the super chat.
Thank you.
Fonzie says, Jake Plummer was the reason I fell in love with the Broncos as a 6th grader. I didn't know much about football at the time, but I loved watching him scramble around the pocket and make plays. My mom bought me his jersey, and that's how my Broncos fandom began. 16 years strong. Really cool, dude. You're preaching to the choir over here because I'm huge Jake Plummer fan, as people know, and been able to interview him a couple times. He's a good guy. He was on the first iteration of the Mile High Huddle podcast way back in 2015 that I did with Brandon Perna and Jake Marson called In the Huddle. We did an interview with him last summer for his Canadian football thing. He's trying the movie Kick that he's trying to get up and off the ground that he's involved in. Good guy. But what makes him a great player, in my opinion, people will pick nits in that and say that Jake Plummer was not a great quarterback. All right, whatever. But what Jake did was win. He was a great leader. When the chips were down, he was one of those quarterbacks, didn't have the same athletic twitch, elite skill set as guys like Russ or Lamar or Patrick Mahomes or whatever. But when the chips were down, similar to Elway, he would find a way, make a way. Conversely, the guy who supplanted him, Jay Cutler, when the chips were down, if you needed that extra play with very few exceptions, he always folded, dude. He could never close the gap. Jake Plummer, more often than not, would. It's just unfortunate. Last thing here, and then I'm going to get off my Plummer soapbox, that Jake picked the biggest game of his career to have the worst game of his career.
Yeah, Fonzie, how do you feel about mushrooms? Because that's what Jake Plummer's into nowadays. That's 2 podcasts, 2 Jake Plummer topics that we discussed. So I thought he was a very underrated quarterback, and I saw someone else say it. I'm going to give them credit. I don't know who did exactly, but he is the best Broncos quarterback in the post-John Elway era behind Peyton Manning. He's like the Shane Falco in real life, just a winner, a grinder, a gutty quarterback. That was Jake Plummer.
Agreed. Colby, what's up, buddy? He says, I am for a retractable roof. I only will go to one of the first 4 games now. It sucks getting old. Well, Colby, make sure it's week 3, dog. We'll see you there, the meet and greet. It'd be fun to get a chance to say hi, shake your hand, send you home with a little care package. We're going to have lots of fun stuff going on week 3 with the Niners. We want to see you there for the MHH meet and greet.
Hey, you know who was there last year? That was Naj Altaf. This man is liquid energy drink or human energy drink. He is a bundle of joy to be around. Naj chiming in 1999 super. Thank you so much, Naj. He says, hey, brothers, Zach, nice hearing you get a shout out on the McAfee show today for your report on Russell's potential contract. Hope all is well, brothers. Appreciate you, Naj, as always. It was cool getting that shout out, but I like the fact more so that it was, again, hashtag for the brand for MHH.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Heck yeah. It was great for Mile High Huddle. And we appreciate you guys noticing it, sending it Zach's way, keeping us in the loop, because it's not like we're watching every single sports podcast under the sun every day. So thank you so much. And Naj, last summer, dude, one of the great members of our community that said, oh, meet and greet in the Mile High City, hops on a plane from freaking Virginia, right? I mean, we got guys like Naj coming from Virginia. We got Ricardo, I think, was that his name, that came from Mexico City. We got people from California coming, Arizona, Missouri, Utah, you name it. We got people coming from all over the fruited plain, all over the world, and to come hang out with us and, of course, go see the Broncos. Let's not pretend that church was not in session that day. It certainly was. But either way, Naj, hopefully we get to see you again.
Yes.
Week 3, dude, because we didn't get as much time to spend with you, especially after the game, as we would have preferred. So much going on. I had to do the gut reaction. Look to the left, you're there. Look back the next time, you're gone. I'm like, where's Naj? He's gone. I was like, dang it. But either way, hope to see you there.
Yeah, appreciate you, Naz. Phil McLaughlin chiming in. Hey, guys, not to get off subject, but what is the latest news on the stadium repairs? I haven't heard anything, Chad. Have you? All we know is that if Rob gets it, Rob Walton, they'll be fine to do anything they want with the stadium, including build a new one. That's the beauty of having an owner worth $70 billion, but I've heard nothing on that topic.
Though really the only thing solid we've gotten was from Joe Ellis at the ownership meetings, and he said that the damage was much more extensive than maybe they thought at first blush, and that even though the work could be done well in time for the season to open, supply chain issues will dictate whether or not they're actually able to get those repairs done by the time it's got to put butts in seats for the actual game. So that was a month and a half ago. Haven't heard anything else since then.
And probably won't for a little while, depending on the owner. Appreciate the stars, David.
You the man. You the man, bro. Great to see you. By the way, reminder to everybody, what we're doing is on the contest for Facebook, the contest for YouTube is each month we're going to take the top 5 finishers. Their names are going to go on a list. All right, June, there's the top 5. Okay, July, top 5. August, top 5, both on Facebook and YouTube. And then what we're going to do is the more names that are the people that have the most tickets in that hat, so to speak, best odds, we're going to draw one name from each hat, the YouTube and the Facebook hat. The winner, we're going to roll out the red carpet for the meet and greet in Denver. All right, so you just will have to worry about getting yourself there. Once you're there, we'll have a ticket to the game for you. We'll have hotel accommodations close to the stadium, be able to hang out with us all day. It'll be fun. That's what we got in store. Because the jersey thing, it's cool. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to hand them out here kind of intermittent when people least expect it to people who are supporting us. But it's time to mix things up a little bit. And with such a fun season to look forward to, plus the meet and greet and whatnot, we thought, you know what, let's kind of orient towards that. And we feel like the people who are the most diehard and committed fans, and also those who support us here at MHH, that would be something that might be more rewarding than a jersey. So anyway, stoked for that.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like Joel is going to come out and join us at the meet and greet. We'll see you there, Joel. Hope you're looking forward to the game. I know I am, Chad. Sunday night football, which is great. So we have the whole day to tailgate, whole day to hang out and have the great meet and greet company with you guys. So looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, so the info that you need for now, we'll have specific information, all right, when it gets a little bit closer. Right now, all you need to know is you show up when the parking lot opens, which on an evening kick, I think it's 2 p.m. Might be early. It might be actually the same time, 10. I'm trying to remember. Either way, you show up when the stadium opens, the actual parking lot, right? The tailgate, which is when we'll be there, and you come hang out with us. That's all you need to know. Now, when it gets a little closer, we'll have specific information on where in the parking lot or the tailgate we're going to be, all that stuff. But for now, just block out that little, couple of days to get there, be there, travel home, all that, and we'll see you there. Tony D.A. Dub. Wasn't Tony at the meet and greet? It was like in and out. He didn't hang out. Like he stopped by. He was like, yo, what's up? And then someone told me, Tony, dude, seriously, OG. Love you, big dog. He says, what's up, fellas? We know we have a QB1, but what are the thoughts on the backups? Hit the like buddy, guys. Hit the like buddy right now, or else Tony will find you. Hit
Slap
the
that like buddy. Smack it.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to remember who it was that was slamming the Broncos backup quarterback situation. Probably PFF. I mean, right? Who?
On brand.
But, you got a journeyman behind Russ, like the definition of journeyman. You look up journeyman quarterback, NFL in the dictionary, Josh Johnson's face, that visage is what will be staring back at you. And then behind him, Brett Rippon, I don't know how much longer they're going to hold on to the Brett Rippon experiment. It could be as long as just this summer, and then they'll let him kind of kick rocks. I don't know. But it's not the strongest, but it doesn't need to be. Russ is a very reliable, available quarterback. How many games off the top of my head? I'm trying to remember exactly, Zach. This dude does not miss time. Last year was one of the few exceptions to that rule.
Yeah, he had a streak of 140 or 160 games, 120. It was incredible otherwise, though, and it was snapped
2
by
games.
that mallet finger injury.
Oh, pardon. He's missed exactly 3 games, and they all came last year. That's it. 10 years in the league, 158, 161 possible games in the regular season that Russell Wilson has, basically been available for, whatever, or 161 games on the slate since he entered the league as a starter, because he was a day one starter, even though he was a rookie 3rd-round pick. He beat out Matt Flynn in Seattle, so he started day one as a rookie in 2012. 161 games later, he had only missed 3 of those, and they all came last year, in his last year in Seattle with that the finger injury. So it doesn't mean you don't want to be prepared, Zach. Obviously, you need to have a plausible contingency plan in place, but how much of your cap do you want to consume for that? How much of your draft capital? Obviously, for the Broncos, not much. They're all in on Russ because it's damn the torpedoes. It doesn't matter who you have behind him, if we're being honest. We've seen what happens when you don't have the franchise guy. All the king's horses, all the king's men avail you not. So it really is, who can hold down the fort for a game or two if Russ tweaks a thumb or, comes down wrong on a helmet after throwing it or something. Josh Johnson, good enough. Welcome in.
And what's nice about Russell Wilson being so dependable is it allows the Broncos to keep only 2 quarterbacks on the 53 and not waste another roster spot on a 3rd quarterback. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I would prefer for the Broncos to have a younger player in some sort of developmental plan, be it maybe the practice squad or something like that. But I'm okay with, I guess, the combination of Brett Rippon and Josh Johnson. But speaking of former Broncos backup quarterbacks, Chad, did you see what's going on in the USFL? I don't know if you have. But former Broncos legend, Case Cookus, who was with the Broncos last offseason for like 2 days, he actually is beating out or outproduced, I can't remember, I didn't watch the game, Paxton Lynch in the USFL. So to rephrase that, in the USFL, Paxton Lynch, former 1st-round pick, is being outproduced and being outshined by Case Cookus.
I remember that story did actually quite well for us at MHH, the Case Cookus signing. We made some hay on that.
I remember writing it.
I was like, David, the Stars, thank you, buddy. I didn't see that you'd also had a question. Why did they let go of Bryce Callahan? He was a Fangio guy, first and foremost. And second of all, his contract expired. And when you look at, hey, we need a nickel guy, he is one of the top 2 or 3 nickel corners in the NFL when he's available. I'm not going to pretend, though, Zach, that I quite understand the logic of then going and signing K'Wan Williams, who has a similarly troubled injury jacket, as you brought up earlier in tonight's show. Why not just keep Callahan around? He knows the scheme, basically. He knows the personnel. Maybe he was just asking for a little bit more money. I don't know than what K'Wan was looking for, but I feel like, overall, Bryce was a better coverage guy, but K'Wan is more of a physical presence in the nickel. So not to say that Callahan was ever shy about tackling. He was always solid in that department, but K'Wan's like a safety in the body of a nickel, in terms of just how physical he is, willingness to hit, tackle. You can blitz him and he'll get there. So he adds maybe a little bit more on that side of things, but I don't think he is as polished and savvy as a coverage guy as Bryce Callahan. So just like with all things in life, dude, there's give, there's take, there's pros, there's cons.
Yeah, Bryce Callahan is a tragic tale. When he was on the field, man, he was one of the best slot corners I've seen since Chris Harris Jr. in his prime. But he just couldn't stay on the field. You just can't stay healthy. Every year was the same thing. He missed an entire season after signing his 3-year contract with the Broncos and then was injured every season. I think he ended every season on IR, if I remember correctly. And I was going to say maybe he was more expensive, but he signed for only $1.272 million with the Chargers. But the Broncos got K1 for a steal too. And the good thing about K1, I think the Broncos wanted to pluck from that 49ers pipeline, the Packers pipeline. They saw, as you mentioned, Chad, Bryce Callahan as a Vic Fangio guy. They wanted their own guy. George Payton wanted his own guy. He didn't sign Bryce Callahan. Remember, he wasn't around back then. From what I've heard, the people I've talked to who cover the 49ers, K'Wan Williams was underrated like Bryce Callahan was in Denver. And if he stays healthy, he'll produce comparable play in that secondary. I'm excited to watch him. I really am.
Me too. Jeff, we understand it. He says, my tax dollars already went to 2 old Mile High upgrades in the new Mile High Stadium. I don't want to pay for another. We feel you. And I don't think right now you really need to. But it has been reported that is something that Rob Walton will be, if not prioritizing, strongly examining the possibility of a new stadium. But guys, with that, I think, Zach, we've landed on every topic we wanted to get to tonight. We don't have any Super Chat superstars that we're leaving hanging. So let's sign off and see everybody on Thursday night.
Yeah, I did see one comment that said Rob Walton should give MHH $10 million. And Rob, we're listening, baby. The phone lines are open, so let's make a deal. But that was the Huddle Up podcast, guys. We're off until Thursday evening. We don't do Wednesdays anymore, so back on Thursday evening, same time, same place, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. Until that time, follow us on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod. You can follow the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. You can follow Chad on Twitter at Chad and Jensen. You can follow myself at Kelberman NFL. You can follow our producer Scott on Twitter at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want this beautiful, comfortable trucker's hat, any of our merch, new store, new merchandise, huddleuppod.com. Go there, check it out. You will not be disappointed. And facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Like that page and follow that page. Guys, if you haven't, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if you can't do those things, please, as you see ticking below, you do these 3 things: subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. Chad, it really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like y'all.
Absolutely true. And we appreciate those of you who do take ownership alongside us and like every video, share it out there, tell your friends, tell your family, ping us on Twitter when you see a Broncos story breaking. I mean, we just love that. We really do. Shout out to these great supporters on Facebook tonight. David Wilder finishing out on top. Love seeing that, bro. Thank you, David. Gary Leeds Palmer right behind him. Phil McLaughlin, Colby C. Collier, and David Vasquez. And then also our great Super Chat superstars shouting out Kenny Booker, Sam Bam. We got Kendrick Ware, Michaela, Michael Ronquillo. We've got, of course, Pobby, Ed Keating, Fonzie, Naj, and Tony D.A. Much love and respect. Can't wait to talk to you guys again on Thursday. Quick reminder, though, tomorrow morning, Broncos for breakfast, building the Broncos. That's Tuesday. Wednesday, Beckoning the Broncos on the Bright with Kim Becker, followed by, not the Huddle Up podcast anymore, Mile High Insiders Wednesday nights, and then Broncos for breakfast Thursday. Zach and I will be back Thursday night. So can't wait to see you and talk with you then.
Have a great week, everybody. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.